The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us on a Wednesday. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. Sirens wailed across the southern Israeli city of Ashkelon overnight as the military intercepted the latest barrage of rockets fired by Hamas militants from the Gaza Strip. Hamas has fired thousands of rockets into Israel since Saturday, when its firefighters launched an unprecedented attack on the Jewish nation. Israel has retaliated with relentless airstrikes on the Gaza Strip and has vowed to topple the Hamas rulers of the territory. This is a live look at the Gaza skyline this morning. The death toll has already climbed to more than 1,800 on both sides, and that death toll expected to continue to rise.
And as the violence in Israel continues, the local Jewish community is coming together. Many attended a vigil in Northeast Bakersfield as a show of solidarity for Israelis and the many victims of this war. 17's Michaela Armstrong was there and has this report.
Members of the Jewish community and beyond joined together at Temple Beth Tuesday night in song and in prayer.
Of the Arava, on land, air, and on the sea.
To stand in solidarity with Israel and to mourn those lost in the attacks Saturday that left hundreds dead. Rabbi Jonathan Klein led the vigil and says it was important to give this community a chance to grieve such a huge loss of life.
We have such a strong tie to the land, to its people. They're our family. We are one big family, and even though we are very happily living here in Kern County and in Bakersfield, we know that our brothers and our sisters and generations of our ancestors were living in that land, are living in that land, and our heart is absolutely crushed by what's happening.
Multiple prayers were read during the vigil, one by Kern resident Larry Zanoff, who lived in Israel for 18 years and served in the military. Zanoff says he has friends he has not been able to contact since the attacks and fears the worst.
It's hard. It's hard not knowing. We hope for the best, but it's very difficult. Unfortunately, in that part of the world, it's the reality of life.
That reality was in the mind of all as more and more prayers filled the room.
We are desperate for knowing that people care about our loss. In some ways, worse than the death is the isolation that many are experiencing with it. It's just so painful. You don't have to go far to see grieving families or the grief of people being dragged across the border into Gaza against their will. I mean, there are these images that I'll never get out of my head of what's happening there. And we need to support one another.
Support, Zanoff says, that the Jewish community could use from all during this time.
This is not a Jewish issue. This is humanity. And if you're part of humanity and you believe in God, whatever God you believe in, you know, the tenets are the same. It's not about violence. It's about supporting each other and trying to bring community together.
Michaela Armstrong, 17 News.
Meantime, as fighting continues between Israel and Hamas, there's a surge of support for the Palestinian cause. A large group of pro-Palestinian demonstrators gathered in Newark, New Jersey yesterday afternoon, many chanting, carrying signs, and waving Palestinian flags as they demand freedom for the people of Palestine. And in Milwaukee, a gathering in support of the people of Gaza. Organizers say their aim is to highlight the inhumane and seemingly genocidal assault by the Israeli military. The demonstrations show the far-reaching ramifications of the conflict between Israel and Hamas.
Bakersfield Congressman and recently ousted House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is balancing two conflicts right now. While he's keeping a close eye on what's going on in Israel, he's also focused on an upcoming House vote to select a new speaker. He answered questions about the idea of him rerunning for speaker and talked about what the U.S. needs to do in response to the war overseas.
I expect there to be a vote and elect a new speaker this week. I asked them in there. I know a lot of them want to nominate me. I told them, please do not nominate me. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel. We need to make sure Hamas is destroyed. that the American hostages have to come home now, and we will have vengeance if they do one thing to them.
The Republicans vying to be the next House Speaker are Jim Jordan of Ohio and Steve Scalise of Louisiana. They made their case to GOP lawmakers yesterday. The first formal step to settle a race triggered a week ago after McCarthy was voted out and left the House leaderless. And the California Veterans Assistance Foundation is hosting its annual Veterans Stand Down event tomorrow.
Yes, and 17's Aaliyah Fitzgerald is joining us with more and a preview. Aaliyah?
Good morning, you guys. Kern County, where we honor veterans, that's our motto, and a local annual event put on by the community clearly upholds that motto.
I'm grateful, that they're here for us, that they come out and, kind of say thanks and take care of us. It's pretty neat.
Serving in the military is one of the biggest commitments one can make. That's why the military community looks forward to the Veterans Stand Down event every year.
This is a homeless veteran event. So we have housing, we have haircuts, we have showers, we have clothing. We will have a live court session with Kern Superior Court. 98
service providers have come together for local veterans and their dependents in need. A hot meal, hygiene, clothing for winter, and more.
This is a community-based event. That means there's 13 organizations that sits on our committee. We work at least 6 months setting this event up. There's a lot of logistics that it takes to put this together. So even though CVAF gets to be the agency that seems to get the recognition, there's a lot of other people in the background.
Services that can help those who have served get back on their feet again.
Our primary focus is on homeless veterans. That's the stand down portion, but all veterans are invited to come and partake in the resource part of the event.
Now the event will be tomorrow, held at Strambler Park, 3805 Chester Avenue, near Sam Lynn Ballpark. Gates are going to be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So definitely go by if this sounds like an event that will suit your needs. In studio, Aaliyah Fitzgerald, 17 News.
17 Court Watch this morning. A man known as the pillowcase rapist has been found guilty of failing to register as a sex offender in Bakersfield. Ronald Feldmeyer, now 71, will be sent back to prison, where he previously spent 35 years for a string of sexual assaults committed in Sacramento in the 1980s. He was released in 2019 and he moved to a group facility in Bakersfield but did not update his registration until 27 days later. In a separate case, Feldmeyer faces kidnapping charges here in Bakersfield. He's accused of picking a woman up and holding her against her will before she jumped out of his moving car. He denies those accusations.
Tense moments for those living in Tehachapi. A brush fire broke out in the Golden Hills area yesterday afternoon. At one point, the quick-moving flames threatened homes on Mountain and Park Drives. But firefighters got a handle on the blaze before it reached any buildings. It was held to just 2 acres. The cause is still under investigation.
An investigation's underway after a toddler was killed in an apartment fire in East Bakersfield. Officials identified 2-year-old Catalina Rutledge as the child who died in the fire on East 6th Street and Union Avenue Friday night. Firefighters say there were other people hurt in that fire, including a father who was hospitalized. And he's still in the hospital this morning with 3rd-degree burns. Another child was hurt, treated though, and released. Crews continue investigating what caused this fire.
Education news now, and there are ongoing calls for a special election for a Kern County Board of Education trustee seat following the retirement of longtime board member Ronald Froelich back in August. The board also voted last night on a proposal to modify the appointment process. 17's Jenny Ha was at the meeting and has more.
The rights of the parents are the most important thing you have to consider.
This board intends to vote in, retire, appoint, wash, rinse, repeat.
The Kern County Board of Education voting Tuesday night to table a motion for a new policy in the board's appointment process.
So let's move on from here. I'm putting a stop to this. At this point, we're just going over and over the same problems.
Per California Education Code 5091, in the case of a board vacancy or resignation, members must call an election or make a temporary appointment within 60 days. And within 30 days of that appointment, voters can petition for a special election. With the provisional appointment of Julie Beechner to the Area 1 trustee seat, pushback from concerned parents demanding more say in who has a say over their kids' education.
Julie might be a wonderful candidate,
but it's that she wasn't elected.
Tara Carter, a parent and former candidate for the Area 1 seat, both against Froelich in the 2022 election and against Beechner for provisional appointment, is leading the push for a special election. She says school boards have too much power over parents' rights of their children and are taking away people's ability to vote in their representatives.
I want the board to see that we're watching them. Every board needs to see that we're watching them.
Carter also taking issue with the alleged unfairness of Beechner's selection process, claiming Beechner was the handpicked successor.
The reason I say dishonest is because Ron, in July, point blank lied and said he was not retiring. In August, he said he had been vetting this person for 2 years.
Beechner, however, tells 17 News she was never notified she would be Froelich's successor. 17 News verified with Froelich he had been vetting Beechner for 2 years. He also says while he did consider retirement during his 2022 run, a personal loss unexpectedly sped up that process.
But he didn't do that. He didn't pick me. I filled out an application. I had no idea of what was even happening as far as the appointment piece.
In the past, there was nothing wrong with the process. I think it worked. It was equitable enough. There wasn't the strong competition as there is now. There isn't the parent awareness. Well, there's political awareness of all the issues, right? The parents want to be involved. They want to know what their school board members think and how they feel.
Some trustees questioning the revisiting of the policy already voted down.
I don't know why we're revisiting this.
I just explained it.
Conversations over electing versus selecting and how to best move forward. Jenny Huh, 17 News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.